The movie begins in a quaint, picturesque village, where the villagers are overjoyed by the news that the witch who once plagued them has died. Enter Glinda, a fairy who confirms the witch's demise. The villagers celebrate, tearing down the witch's posters that once haunted their homes. Just as Glinda is about to leave, a curious little girl asks her how one learns magic and why witches are so despised. Glinda, her tone serious, explains that witches aren't inherently evil but are shaped by society's cruelty. The scene transitions to the past, revealing the birth of the green-skinned magician, Elphaba. Rejected by her father due to her unusual color, Elphaba discovers her magical abilities. Whenever she cried or got angry, objects would fly around. Despite her love for her parents, Elphaba received no affection in return. As she grew older, Elphaba's troubles multiplied. She remained unloved and isolated, except for her beautiful, one-legged sister, Rose, whom Elphaba adored. One day, while telling a story to Rose and her friends, the children mock Elphaba. Enraged, she uses her magic to hurl stones at them. The news reaches her father, the village journalist, who angrily takes Rose away, leaving Elphaba alone. Back in the present, Glinda and the villagers erect a grand statue of the witch. Just then, someone asks Glinda if the witch was her friend. Glinda responds that while they weren't friends, she knew her well. The story flashes back to Glinda and Elphaba's university days. Elphaba arrives to enroll her sister, Rose, but isn't allowed to study herself. Their introduction is interrupted by a teacher who, under protocol, ushers Rose away. Elphaba's anger causes objects to levitate, alarming the principal, who pretends to use magic to save Elphaba from the children's wrath. The principal asks Glinda to escort Elphaba to her room. Glinda agrees, but Elphaba resists, not wanting to stay. Alone with the principal, Elphaba is praised for her magical talents and offered a chance to control her powers. Initially elated, she remembers her father's words and hesitates. The principal promises to speak to the governor on her behalf, securing her admission. Happy yet anxious, Elphaba enters Glinda's chaotic room. When Elphaba tries to find a spot, Glinda stops her, leading to a magical altercation that makes objects fly and glass shatter. The two girls spend the night bickering, attracting attention from other students. In the morning, a group forms against Elphaba and Glinda. Isolated and mocked, Elphaba faces constant abuse. In class, even the professor, an animal, struggles with her name. Elphaba, defending the professor, normalizes the situation, leading the professor to recount a time when humans and animals coexisted peacefully before the former enslaved the latter for their gain. He left the place in sadness. Seeing this, Elphaba understood his sorrow, as she had never received her rights either. Elphaba befriended the professor, who showed her kindness. The scene transitions to a video showing the principal training Elphaba to control her magical powers. While she could lift objects with ease, her anger caused destruction. Instead of being angry, the principal was pleased, recognizing the immense potential of her powers. One night, Elphaba overheard the professor telling his people to pack up and leave for the hospital, fearing that humans would soon kill them. Saddened, Elphaba was about to leave when the professor saw her and called her inside, showing her love and affection. Elphaba promised to help them secure their rights. Determined, Elphaba ventured into the jungle, where she met a boy on a horse who was frightened by her. It was revealed that he was a prince. Meanwhile, at the university, there was excitement about the prince's arrival. Glinda, the brightest and most beautiful student, prepared to impress him. Upon arriving at the university, the prince paid little attention to anyone but Glinda, who eventually befriended him. She took him to the library, where his bad habits became apparent as he broke rules and climbed on books, angering the librarian. To tease the librarian, the prince started singing, and everyone joined in, except Elphaba. In the next scene, a boy invited Glinda to the prom party, but she wanted to go with the prince. He suggested she go with Rose instead. Rose was thrilled by the invitation, but Elphaba, suspecting a trick, stopped her from going. Rose was furious, and Glinda continued preparing for the party. Glinda's friends found a strange cap among her belongings, which belonged to her grandmother and resembled a witch's hat. They gave it to Elphaba, hoping she would be mocked at the party. Unaware of their intentions, Elphaba was happy, thinking Glinda cared for her. At the prom party, everyone was dancing and enjoying themselves. Elphaba arrived with the prince, wearing the cap given by Glinda. Her strange appearance made everyone laugh at her. Feeling humiliated, Elphaba took off the cap and started dancing alone. Seeing this, Glinda felt guilty and joined Elphaba in the dance, leading others to realize their mistake and dance with her. This was a significant moment for Elphaba, as she was finally accepted by the others. The animosity between her and Glinda vanished, and they hugged each other. After the party, they talked like friends for the first time in their room. Glinda confided in Elphaba that she and the prince were getting married soon, a secret only Elphaba knew. Glinda then asked Elphaba about her secret, thinking it was the green bottle she kept under her pillow. When Glinda quickly picked it up, Elphaba revealed that it wasn't her secret but a cherished possession belonging to her mother. Due to her actions, Glinda's father, the governor, became disappointed and went to bed. Glinda then approached Elphaba to console her, revealing that her father didn't like her because she was born a green baby. To avoid having another child like her, the governor made her mother drink excessive amounts of milk, which resulted in her sister, Rose, being born prematurely with a leg deformity. Tragically, their mother died during childbirth. Elphaba blamed herself for these events, thinking that if she hadn't been born this way, her father wouldn't have forced milk on her mother, and Rose wouldn't have been born prematurely. Seeing Elphaba's distress, Glinda reassured her that it wasn't her fault. To lift Elphaba's spirits, Glinda gave her a makeover, transforming her style. The next day at the university, everyone admired Elphaba's new look, including the prince, who stopped to talk to her. Elphaba was on her way to meet her professor, an animal, when she discovered that the animals were leaving the college due to safety concerns. It was their last class, but before they could leave, a teacher and security guards forcibly removed them. Elphaba felt helpless and upset. The new professor replaced the old one and kept a small lion cub in captivity to demonstrate that animals would now be confined. Elphaba was furious at the sight of the imprisoned animals. Her anger caused objects to fly around, and everyone, except the prince's children, fell unconscious. As Elphaba fell unconscious, the prince helped her rescue the lion cub, and they fled to the jungle on a bicycle. When the principal arrived in their classroom, she found everyone unconscious and realized that Elphaba's powers had grown immensely. She was pleased and wrote a letter to the great magician. In the jungle, Elphaba and the prince argued. Elphaba had feelings for the prince but knew he would never marry her, so she didn't pursue it further. The next day, Elphaba was surprised to learn that the great magician wanted to meet her, thanks to the principal's recommendation. A green train arrived to take her to the Emerald City. Everyone came to see her off, including the prince, who gave her a good luck flower. Glinda also shared a secret with Elphaba, revealing that her relationship with the prince had become strained. As Elphaba boarded the train, Glinda handed her a letter expressing her desire to join her. Upon arriving in the Emerald City, Elphaba and Glinda were warmly welcomed. They realized they were in a magical city where they would meet the magician. After a captivating show, the wizard appeared and took Elphaba aside to show her the future of the city he had designed. Elphaba suggested painting the streets yellow and expressed her desire to help animals instead of ruling. During their conversation, the principal arrived, and Elphaba was overjoyed to see her. Elphaba shared her dreams of doing something for the animals, and the principal supported her. At the magician's behest, a monkey picks up a cloth from the magic book. The magician then reveals that the monkey has the remarkable ability to fly and requests Elphaba to recite a spell. To her amazement, the spell works, and Elphaba is initially thrilled that she has done something for the animal. However, her joy turns to horror when she sees the monkey in pain, with feathers growing on its stomach. Frightened, she tries to reverse the spell, but to no avail. In her anger, Elphaba demands the magician to stop the spell. The magician admits that while he possesses magical powers, they are not sufficient to read the book's spells. It dawns on Elphaba that her powers are immense and irreversible. Saddened by the unintended consequences of her actions, Elphaba realizes she has been manipulated by the magician and the principal. Seeing the monkey suffering, Elphaba understands that the magician and the principal never cared for animals and used her innocence for their gain. Enraged, she takes the magic book and decides to flee. The principal, realizing her chance to gain more power, offers Glinda the opportunity to learn magic if she helps capture Elphaba. Glinda, eager for power, reluctantly agrees and chases after Elphaba. The principal commands the winged monkeys to find Elphaba, while the magician sends his guards after her. Glinda, determined to become a magician, comes close to capturing Elphaba but finds herself conflicted. Elphaba reaches a room with a hot air balloon, hoping to escape. However, the magician's men corner her just as she prepares to take off. The roof of the palace closes, causing the balloon to burst and a fire to break out. Elphaba and Glinda fall into a room, where Glinda tries to convince Elphaba to accept the magician's offer, but Elphaba remains steadfast in her desire to help the animals. Meanwhile, the principal spreads the news throughout the university and city, branding Elphaba a thief